that. Well, good morning. Good morning. My name is Austin Heisel, one of the organizers here for 1 Million Cups. See some new faces. Glad you're here. Glad you're joining us. And there are the rest of the organizers, some of which have departed us, so we need to update our slideshow here. But very happy to have Michelle back this morning. Very excited to see you again. So for those of you that are new, find us, or returning, find us and let us know that you have a business that you would love to come present. If not your own, have a friend come by. And here's some of the sponsors that make this morning possible, including the current location where you're sitting. We've been here now for 3 months, 4 months, something like that. It's been a minute. We're very happy to be in here, so big thank you to them. And I believe the next slide, we don't have a next slide. So Robert,
Switch over.
Switch it over. Robert, it's all you. Not about me. This left side. See if it works.
Robert, do you want to use the clicker? Sure. Now, yeah. It's on the right side of the.
Yeah, I see that. I'm more concerned about that. We had this issue last time. Oh, there we go. That's all you.
So I think everybody has seen my, maybe it's all right. I think every. All right. I own a technology company, so I should be able to figure it out. I think everybody's seen the robot, but just in case, Naomi, would you mind coming up just for a minute? Because I'm short of hands. So if you'll stand, and so if you turn around, you can see it. There's little dots here. I've got this on a little bit of a funkier tab, but if I push that, it'll stand out. And you can just push various things for it to do here, so you don't need to worry about probably walking back and forth. But if you just push some of the buttons, you can see some of the things as I talk. And so she's going to just demonstrate what the robot will do. Now so
Should just be the right arrow on the side of that button.
there we go. So Stokes Robotics, we're a North American distributor for unit tree, which makes this robot and makes some others, some that you can ride on that are that big, that we put in different things. And you can see this is the great big guy that can walk up and down stairs. He can carry lots of stuff, walk underwater, do search and rescue, those sorts of things. And then we also have another company called Direct Drive that has just two-wheeled robots that roll around. They're quieter. This guy's nice because he can do a little bit of cool thing, but he does make a little bit of noise, which can be good. But he can recover himself, like if I kick him and I'm kind of rough on him or something. He can get that.
Kick back button.
Or pounds. There we go. Yeah. So. And then Agilex are line of more the traditional wheel type robots, where they can go in and we can put these in agriculture, so we can get the track ones, or we can get the wheel ones going in, and in manufacturing, we can set them forklift replacement, things like that, so it can go in and grab things, pull it off, and you can put a little more safer methodologies around to run things in your warehouses. And they can autonomously walk around. Then we have law enforcement applications. I'm going to go real quick on these. We capture video, so if you'll like hold that up and turn it around, they can see the video feed that it gets. So when it's walking around,
It's just me
I
right
can see.
So it sees Kelly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can see what's going on. So when I'm a law enforcement officer, let's suppose I come in here and there's something going on back there. One of the most dangerous things is for officers to walk into an unknown situation. So they can send the robot in first, they can view what's going on. If there's someone in that starts shooting back, the robot's the one that's in danger, not the person. We also will arm these with non-lethal. So we'll put on a burner rifle that will shoot pepper spray and hit somebody, which makes things safer for the surrounding people. But as a police officer, I can't walk in with that because it takes 15 or 20 seconds to really take good effect, and I can get shot by that. Now the robot can still get shot in that time, but we don't have to have a funeral and then we just buy a new robot. Okay? So we just stick the robot in danger, and we put them in, you know, situations that aren't safe for people to go into. If there's a gas leak, we send the robot in. If there's a fire, we send the robot in. Those sorts of things, so that we aren't looking to get a person hurt. We're looking to look at the robot, and we can do remote control up to a quarter-mile away with the app on there. We can customize it. We can put lights on. We can put two-way communication. So I can go in. If Kelly calls the police and says there's a problem, and we get to her house and no one's answering, we can send the robot in, and she's barricaded herself in there because her books didn't sell. We can send the robot in, and we will. There's two-way communication. We can talk to her. Say, Kelly, are you fine? She's fine. I'm fine, or I'm not fine, and they know what's going on. And then we also have can put a robotic arm on it that it can go around and pick things up and open doors, things like that. The bigger ones can do more powerful things. So this guy, you can see he's kind of small, but he does weigh about 30 pounds. But the other one weighs well over 100 pounds. So you can see how this is in right outside New York City. We have the robots with police Fort Lee, which is, you go across the George Washington Bridge, that's the town you get to, and they were sending it into places. You see all the clutter on the ground? One of the problems that police typically have with traditional robots, like the track ones I showed you, is some people, especially people's houses that police have to go to, are not always the best housekeepers. And there's clothes and things on the floor. I'm sure not like you need your houses, but the tracks going, clothes getting into a robot can disarm or disable a $300,000 robot real quick. So this guy, we don't have to worry about that. If later I'll show you the rolling over feature. We'll wait till we get over to the carpet because on a hard floor if it rolls over, it can scratch the floor or something. We won't do that. All right. Let me quickly go through here. We put LEDs on it so it can go up into dark areas. Look around. We also use these in pardon and parole. Not all states are the same, but for example, in the state of Florida, pardon and parole, they are considered wards of the state. So when the parole officer comes, one of the things they want to do is as they're talking to the person, they can send the robot out and look to make sure they don't have things they're not supposed to have. Especially with sex offenders, they aren't allowed to have any underage children, even if it's their own kids, so they'll have to there with them. So the robots can go around with various sensors, make sure there isn't something going on there. It's supposed to have a remote check looking for signals so they can find out if that person's using the internet or those sorts of things they're not allowed to do. And they can run around and find those things. And they don't need a warrant because it's a ward of the state, so they're able to go check those things. But it endangers the person if the officers have to do that themselves. Because if they go and they do look under a bed, you're having to get down and look under, and if there's something bad under there, you're in a vulnerable situation for the person that's there. So, let's see if I can do that. There's a video that lets you play. Well, imagine, if you will, a video. Let's see. Now, in corrections, we have the robot go in, and it'll walk around and it'll do inspection. So it'll autonomously walk around, it'll check out cells, it'll do head counts, it'll walk through. So there's a shortage of over 200,000 corrections officers. Last year, you might have remembered, nationwide, you might remember in Pennsylvania, there was an escape of a murderer that took a while. One of the reasons for that is they didn't have enough guards. There's just a shortage of corrections. We're about half capacity. So what we use the robot for is every 20 minutes to 30 minutes, they have to go count all the inmates and check and make sure they're healthy and doing well. That takes a lot of manpower, but it's really just kind of mundane. I'm just like, there you are, there you are, there you are. So we put a database of all the inmates into the robot, and they walk around and go, there you are, there you are, there you are, and come back and say, we found everybody. Oh, now it's time to go again. And the correction officer can be up at their station doing the other things they have to do and making sure everything's going on. So we've automated that system. We worked with Fullmore, Austin's company, and last week we were in the state of Florida. The Secretary of Corrections, appointed by Governor DeSantis, met with us, and 20 of his top 30 officials from the Florida Department of Corrections met with us, and we did a demonstration, and they have agreed to a pilot program. They'll be our first in the country, where they will give us access to a full prison, and we will put our robots in it, and they will walk around and do the monitoring, and we'll be able to make adjustments. We know it works. We know they're walking around taking the scan work, but we haven't yet put it into a situation where you have, live people who are not necessarily wanting to cooperate, and so we'll have to have some tweaks and things. And then if they accept, if that goes well, but they anticipate going, we'll have to do some tweaks and things. But they all go statewide, and so we'll put it up in 188 facilities across the state. And to give you an idea, depending on which robot they get, they will have a lease program between $60,000 and $150,000 per year that will take care of 4 positions that they're short at each of these facilities. And some of them are short a lot more, so they'll need multiple robots. But these robots can work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's more than 4 shifts. We do 3 shifts a day during the week, and we get the weekend shift. So what that allows them to do is take the money they had allocated for those salaries, that they aren't able to fill those salary spots, and put them into the robots with the lease program. And so they're spending $60,000 to $150,000 instead of $300,000 or more, which is what the average cost would be to hire the corrections officer. So it's saving them money, it's filling a need they don't have, and protecting the groups.
Where did you say that was? What state?
State of Florida.
Okay.
State of Florida. Now we also are doing the same thing in jails. Our first one's going into Nashville in July. We were supposed to actually put it in and start it yesterday, but there's a city council had passed a law that the jail bot didn't apply to them, because it makes sense, because you can't, there's laws against the police surveilling the public, but they well, these people are in jail, we should be able to surveil them. Well, the city attorney said you have to get a special dispensation from the city council to say you can't surveil the prisoners while they're in jail, and that will happen July 2nd. That's the meeting, so we'll get that. That's kind of what the sheriff said the same thing, but he also, the attorney was sitting there, and he was like, so well, but the robots again can walk in, but we'll put a little camera on their arm so they can look in, and in some cases we'll have a thermal camera, so that it's what I call the Shawshank prevention program, so that you can see that lump that's on the bed and see if it's really a person or if it's just a lump. And it can do things like deliver items and stuff like that. And then it can also go out and walk around the perimeter. One of the things you have in prisons, not so much in jails, you have in prisons, is you'll have people that will throw things over. And so it can walk around and it can see if something is thrown over, it can report it. If there's a change in the fence, if there's a change in that, it can report it. So we hire people to do that, but as Chief Wilkes from Nashville was telling us, it's a boring job, and people get bad at it after 3 or 4 trips around, because you're just going around going, has anything changed? Has anything changed? Has anything changed? Looks the same. And about the 5th trip, even if there's minor changes, you're not paying as much attention, and then people quit. pretty quickly. This was boring. I just walked around and checked things. So, so it's a thing that's perfect for robots. They walk around. When they see, they scan everything. When they walk the next trip through, if there's anything different, they report that. They report it to an actual person who can look at it and go, this is fine, or no, that's going to investigate. Now, school securities are another one of our programs we have here. In our school security program, someone comes in the wrong door, the robot will come up and a person will talk through the robot to say, normally it's the person at the front, say, why did you come here? 999 times out of 1,000, the person saying, I just came to get my kid, and they just take them to the office. Okay? But sometimes someone comes in and they're actually armed. They did turn that over, immediately gets turned over to the police. The police, the first time you just confront them with a freaky robot, about 15 to 25% of the time, this estimate, they will drop their weapon. Then when they don't, we put a laser on their chest and suggest, you need to drop your weapon or you're not going to survive. Now, we don't put a gun on the robot because it's in the school, we don't take a chance of something going wrong. But it is true, if we put the laser on there, people are conditioned to know that means you're going to get shot. And they are going to get shot if they don't leave. So what the robots do is the police then take over and they attack the person with the various robots, with non-lethal, with gas, with various things like that, to make sure that if it's a mistake and it's actually just a parent who came in bringing a squirt gun in, they're killed. But the police are seeing everything that's going on as they come in, and they're controlling, and they're the ones talking through the robot. It takes 8 to 15 minutes on average for police to arrive in force during a school shooting. The robots, we put multiple robots around, and the robots keep them distracted, disoriented, and the police talking to them for that 8 to 15 minutes. They can even say things like, we've got your mom on the phone, once they figured out who it is. The mom can then talk on the phone through the phone to the person. Normally the person then just starts shooting the robot because they don't want to hear about what's going on. But right now, what we do is we send principals and teachers out to confront the shooter, and they shoot them. So instead we have, again, it's like sending the officer back when there's a dangerous situation back there. We want them shooting the robot, not shooting the people. And then, again, with this, with law enforcement, we normally arm them with non-lethal. We don't even put those non-lethal things at most schools just because of various regulations and safety reasons. Okay, manufacturing applications real quick. Robots does the same thing, walks around in the factory. And it's starting to read. You see, got maps and stuff out, does various readings, all sorts of different detectors you can put on everything from a fuel gauge to a lightning detector, different things. And just walk around doing it. We were working with Mercedes, and they have 5,000 vibration detectors in one of their plants. And they're trying to use the robots to cut those down by 2,000. Let them walk around mobile-wise. So it just allows you to have your detectors moving. You can see thermal sort of thing. The robots can climb stairs, get to places, those are different. And they just walk around and look and see what's wrong. If anything's out of range, lets a maintenance person know. Remember I said there's 200,000 shortage of law enforcement or corrections officers? Over 1 million is the shortage of industrial maintenance personnel nationwide. So you get low-end people just walking around, and it's really not a person, it's a robot. Some examples, we got these in some power grids, some oil refineries, etc. And here's a think. So this is that Camco. We were demonstrating it there. The robot went down, opened up a electrical panel. To open up an electrical panel, do this thing, you have to suit somebody up in protective gear and everything. It's quite a bit of time. But the robot walks it up, opens up the power panel, scans it, reports that, closes it back. And you don't have to spend all that time having a person do that, suiting it up. And also, again, it's walking, as it walks from one panel to another, it's scanning all these other things. It's checking the, see if something's out of range on a thermal setting, if it's got a gas leak, if you have those sort of things. So it's constantly walking around and monitoring those things and just reporting back to the maintenance people. So anyway, that's our story. So what we're a small company based out of Carl Junction. We bring these robots in. They come from, a lot of them come from China. We bring them in and we quote Americanize them. Because we take, you may be surprised by this, but we don't want a lot of Chinese chips or Chinese communication going back, which is a bad thing, but it's very nice for us because, for example, there's the navigation system they have. They can't, obviously we don't use a Chinese software there, so the companies have given us their code so that we can modify their code, and we can then put that on a US server using the software we develop or we co-develop with Fullbore, so that we can then control the robots autonomously, and all the data can go back to a US server, US place, and then we take some of the chips and we'll change out chips to make sure it's a US chip, and we'll change that, do some of the assembly, because so that we can hit the 60% US made that a lot of the government things require. And so when we bring in a robot like that, a few $1,000s will go to China, and then a few tens of thousands of dollars will go to US manufacturers and employees and things here in the US. So it's a nice way to take, to kind of do the reverse of what they've been doing with us for years. They've been shipping stuff over there for us to make it. We're shipping stuff here, and we're making it here, and we're putting it. Our goal is, and one of the things that's very sad is, we go to these national shows, robotic shows, and you can't find US people doing this. There's, you know, the one big famous US manufacturer of quadruped robots is Boston Dynamics, which is owned by Hyundai, South Korean company. And they only make a $300,000 model. So it's not as many options. So in the next 5 to 10 years, our goal is to have a fully US made quadruped type robots made here in Carl Junction on this. But we're going in stages. So initially we take the other robots, bring them in, Americanize them, get them to over 60%, spread them out, and then we start making them around. Questions?
I want to know how you started, how did you get into this?
Okay, so we've been around Stokes. Our official name is Stokes Educational Services, LLC. We were an education company doing STEM education since 2005. So we go around the country creating engineering labs, things like that for schools and selling units. And then we got into robotics in about 2010 with a small humanoid robot that we sold to schools that didn't have any practical, didn't have much practical use outside of the classroom, although we work with Boston Children's Hospital and Harvard Medical to create some solutions to reduce pain in pediatric patients by distractions and to increase compliance by sending them home. Turned out to be very cool, great results, terribly unprofitable. But we got a lot of good publicity, and because of that, the company started reaching out to us. Unitree, which is the largest quadruped company in the world, reached out to us and said, "Would you be our U.S. distributor?" And then once we did that, some other companies started. And then about a year ago, we did the Super Bowl, and our robots were in the Super Bowl. People found out, and we now get calls every day from people. "Would you be our distributor in the U.S.? Because we do really cool stuff." And which again, that was another very unprofitable thing on the, but very good for the publicity and marketing for the things for us. So, but 2021 is we spent that first year looking at the robots, developing, writing curriculum, testing them out, making sure. And we've only been doing this since 2022 in this robot, and we've grown. We're 11 times larger than we were in 2021. We're hoping to be 11 times larger in 2 more years, but that's where we're going to have to start reaching out and getting funding. So we've been financing it through debt, and my wife and I, and we're out of money. So we're doing lots of cool things.
You're selling your children now.
We brought them all as indentured servants. It may be a little illegal, but just don't tell anyone in the government.
Don't tell anyone in the government.
But we've gone from 2 years ago, this month, we leased our first, we'd always been working out of our house since 2005. we leased our first office space in Carl Junction. We then in September doubled that space, and then this last October we bought the old Truman building there in Carl Junction. It used to be the city hall, and so we've grown and we're continuing to grow in those areas.
So if that thing's in a jail and someone just holds off and kicks it, what happens?
Well, so there's a couple things. One, if I haul off and kick it, I kick it. It can recover, but I can kick it hard enough to knock it down.
Yeah.
Also, it's only 30 pounds, so I can actually weaponize it, and I could throw it at you, and so that would be bad. So this one, and most of the time in jail, we don't have this one walking autonomously unless the prisoners are secure behind the. We have a big one that's about this tall, weighs 100 and some pounds, that when you go to kick it, it just hurts your toes, especially if you're in a jail where they don't allow you to have hard shoes or gloves or anything. And so Rikers Island, you've probably heard of Rikers Island in New York, you look at the big one, and they're looking at using the big one for sitting it in when prisoners will set their mattresses on fire just so they can assault a guard when they come and put it out. So they send the robot in. When the guys jump on the robot, it just hurt them because they're on a big metal 100-some pound thing. You start hitting it and it hurts, and you stop, and then it puts out the fire and then leaves. So that is some of the things that we're looking at in the pilot program is which ones can we, because they like to use the small, less expensive one, but the big, more expensive one is going to be required in some such situations. They want to minimize those situations in which they have to pay more. We're perfectly fine.
Program to make it defend itself.
Like an electric shock.
Oh yeah, we have things like that, but frankly, if it's a danger, you can always get around those things. So we put things like, in a prison, we'll put non-lethal on it. So if someone comes up and they try to, like if they started grabbing onto wires and pulling, we have things that will either shock them or put pepper spray on them or something like that, so that they don't do it. But that causes paperwork when you do that, so they're looking for ways to avoid that as much as possible. So yes, all those things are able to do. And like I said, when we send it in for law enforcement too, same sort of thing. You send it in. Now in that situation, you have to worry about bad guys shooting it, and bad guys will shoot it. And people ask, well, what happens? I say, same thing happens when they shoot the deputy. And they say, well, can you put armor on it? I say, yeah, but just like the deputy, if I shoot it in the eyes or places that can't be, it's going to hurt. The key is, we don't care. I mean, we care a little bit, but for the most part, we don't care if the robot dies. We care if a person gets killed.
So Robert, that large one, how fast can it?
It'll go 21 kilometers per hour. So about 15 or 16 miles an hour.
So it will be like if you rammed somebody who was a bad guy with it, it could
Break a leg, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
it will actually.
This guy is at 30 pounds. Here, I'm gonna. Don't tell my tech staff that I did this. Will get on to me. So turn off. I'm gonna turn off object avoidance. Is the light blue now? Yeah. So if I put this in running mode, let's see. Now I don't have enough space here to get really up to speed, but it'll run 10 miles an hour and run into something. So things like the door. Now imagine the one that's 4 times this mass running twice that speed at you or at the door. And so this, I'm leaving, on Monday I will be in Los Angeles presenting to LAPD and some of the surrounding police departments, and they want demonstrations of it, taking the battering ram and hitting the door, things like that. But this size, we actually have some police departments that will take it, wrap it up, and throw it through a window, and then it gets back up, because I was telling you about the rollover stage. knock it over, and if they knock it over, let's get over here and I'll push it over hard. So let's suppose he falls, he's in bad shape, and I want him to get up. He just recovers after falling down. Whatever. So they'll take it, throw it through the window, tell it to get back up. Then they have to put some cushion around it, you know what I mean? And then they can send it into the house as well. So we've got situations like that, different applications that they use it for. The 100 and some pound when you don't throw it through the window, it's just it's a little rough on it, but it can then walk through the door. So different applications, different ones. And then similar things are wheeled ones. I've got a bunch of applications. Like this robot here is from a different company. We've got 4 different arms. So it can come up, this is the one that the director of security wants to use in the sense, it's going to be phase 2, but he wants to use for serving meals to prisoners because they have a lot of prisoners who try to injure the guards when they slide the tray in. They'll reach through and take something and stab them with it. And he says they get the arms a lot down here, but they get sometimes all the way up to here. And the corrections officers don't like that. But, so these can actually, I've got a video somewhere that I didn't bring, but I can go up and I can have it with the forms, set a table, fry an egg, and then come serve it and everything. So it can come up to when the meals come in, it comes in on a cart, they grab it, they put it in. You have to lift, one of the arms lifts the flap, they slide it down with the other 2 arms and put it in and they close it. So I'm able to serve, and then if the person comes and starts stabbing the robotic arms, no one cares. If you watch, if you want to watch Shark Tank, 2 or 3 weeks ago there was a company on there called Psionic, and we worked with them to put their hands, their prosthetic hands they have, robotic hands that they use for prosthetics for people who lost limb, onto our robotic arms. And we worked with them, they got it working so they can take our arms that we put on these and they can get it, so suddenly they have 5 fingers and it has a touch feel and those sorts of things. They can really manipulate more for those things. By the way, they got $1 million at a $60 million valuation for that. And they kind of got a niche market there. Oh, that's nice. So that's one of the companies we work with. But we've also worked with a company that does the AI out of California. Super expensive company. We hope not to work with them forever, but they're the top company. And they're just, they want to charge like $4,000 a month per robot for some of the stuff they do about it. And we're like, that's more than we pay for the robot. So, you know, but what their technology allows us to do is the robot can walk around in the community, map it out, and if there's a crowd, it can walk through and it can autonomously make it. So if I can say, hey, I need you to go over there, it can just like if I told Kelly to go over there, she'd find her way, but the next time she'd know where to go. So it's high level AI, but it's expensive. So we're trying to do that, and we're trying to use Austin's group and full force to take care of some of that stuff locally eventually. So trying to make Joplin area into the technology hub for robotics. So.
2 questions. So one, like that little guy, how much does that cost?
The range on this size of robot, the really cheap version of it that the Unitree people think can be for home use, which is ridiculous. No one wants to buy it for home use. But it's we go for $5,000 for a cheap little home robot. So if anybody wants a pet, they can have one of those. Terrible idea. But the ones for commercial use on that one range from $15,000 to $40,000. $15,000 for the base unit with all the abilities to do the programming, make it programmable, those sorts of things. Put the sensors on it, things like that. $40,000 if I do the fully autonomous LiDAR capable, I put the sensors and things like that on it.
So the second question is, so I buy that, then do I have to have some kind of a agreement with you as far as programming it or fixing it or doing it?
It comes with the, you buy it, you get the robot and it's programmable, and we do some training and we give you some lessons and things. But most of our commercial and government officials, we are not selling the robot to. We sell it to schools with curriculum thing, but we're leasing it as a service program. Couple of reasons, but the easiest to understand is if I buy a $200,000 big robot, 4 years from now I have an outdated $200,000 big robot, even if it's gonna last 8 or 10 years. I've just got old technology. So what we're doing is we're leasing the robots, and we then replace all the technology as the new stuff comes out. We guarantee you that at least during a 5-year lease, you get everything replaced at least once. So they don't ever have outdated technology. And they also can use operating budget instead of capital expenditure budget. Then at the end of that, we still own the robots, and we provide them back to the schools in the areas where they've been using them at their government facilities, so that they can use those to educate the students who are going to be hired eventually to run the robots and program the robots for them. So it's a nice advantage, but you know, get the goodwill part too when the government people are like, hey, the police department's going to give these robots to the school at 90% of the original cost, or 10% of the original cost, 90% off. Other questions?
The lights blinking on the side, you said it could work a long time. How long can that just last
Okay.
and run?
Yeah, so see the 4 lights here? That tells where they are. So there's 4 lights. They're solid beams. I'm fully charged for that part. Then if it's blinking, it's like I'm less than half of that charge. So this robot's battery has 2 different kinds of batteries. One that we can ship and put on planes and things, so it's nice and be able to travel with it. That lasts for about 2 hours. The more powerful ones that's a little bit more difficult to ship because it's got more lithium in it, lasts for about 4 hours. And then the big guy, the one you see on the screen there, his lasts 8 hours. It's a pretty good robot. That allows him to run a full shift. That's why they'll have to drive to LA.
Or are they like a robot vacuum, where they have some kind of thing they plug into by themselves?
Yeah, so these have docking stations and charging stations. So you just walk up and I can program them to go in there, just settle the docking station. When they get to a certain point, take an hour to 2 hours to charge, depending on the robot.
Lunch break.
Still looking. But the other thing I can do is I can just go over, pull this out, pop it back, pop a new one in, charge the other one while it's doing it, and then my robot instead of down for an hour or 2, it's down for less than 5 minutes. So it depends upon the situation. If I'm autonomous, there's an island, it's not our robot, but it's one of our competitors, Boston Dynamics, that has their robot on an island off New Zealand's coast that's not inhabitable, but it's got an oil production facility there. And the nearest person's 200 miles away. The robot has to go and set down and charge because there's no one there to just pop up. And if I'm running a night shift and no one else is going to be there, there's nothing there. When the law enforcement's using it to patrol certain areas, they might want to have it just go set down in a building. But you don't want to have it set down just charging out in the middle of nowhere because someone could come up and damage it or something, or try to take it. So we don't have it go back home, get a place where there is going to be either it's secured where they walk through a doggy door, or it's a place where there's a person watching. But so most of the time, yes, you can self-charge, but usually more often than not, you go, well, why am I going to let you self-charge with some plug and put it back in? More questions? Yes.
You got your Sam's number and all that stuff yet?
We've got our SAM's number. We are in the process of getting on to, my wife does this part, the SGAF, whatever they, for the catalog where the government, federal government can just go and purchase, and it's on there. We have to have 3 of our customers send them a paper. 2 of them did it right away, and Memphis County Schools were like, oh, they're one of our best customers, send it to them, has not responded. And so we're in the process of trying to find somebody who will actually respond, or I have to go, as I drive through Memphis, or on my way to South Carolina, stop by and say, Diedrich, sign this. But yeah, that's a process. The problem with that too, though, is, so the SAM number's easy, but when you put on there, you have to have that specific product, that specific number. So, as the robots change, and when we modify it for longer, so for example, if I put, we've sold hundreds of Go ones. This is the Go 2 came out last month. We've sold dozens of those to schools for a school package, but when we're selling the corrections, we're selling the corrections package. So one of the things we're doing to try to make that work is when the pilot programs we have, we're giving them a big discount to buy for money, but we're trying to get them to pay full price on the MS, and then we pay them for the discount, or so that we can have that actual price noted on the government form, because the government has ways they like to do things. And then we'll put it in as the security package, or the corrections package, or the law enforcement package with so it's called the robotic corrections officer. And then when the robot changes, we don't care if they would.
So they all have different SKUs.
It's terrible.
Yeah, I imagine.
Because by the time you get through the process, normally it's like, oh, the new robot's out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's government. Government people are the worst.
I know. I agree.
That's true. Anything else? All right. Well, thank you, guys.
Thank you.